Sukkot is a time of joy. It's called Chag Simchasenu. It's a time of great joy. In the agricultural society of the days of yore, they rejoiced in the time of Sukkot. It was the end of a crop year, and after Sukkot was the beginning of a new cycle. Sukkot is also the culmination of the days of awe, of the Yom Narayim, starting with the month of Elul, followed by Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So on Sukkot we rejoice. We rejoice not only over the physical bounty, but over the spiritual bounty. We're free of sin. Sukkot is a time when we're surrounded by the mitzvos. We build a hut, and it's a hut which is constructed. The floor could be from any material, the walls could be from any material, but primarily the laws of the sukkah are concerning the roof. It has no roof. It must be constructed out of temporary materials that permit the elements to penetrate, to go through. And we leave our houses and we enter the sukkah for 7 days. For those of you in Chutz La'aretz, outside of Israel, you're in the sukkah for 8 days. And each day of Sukkot, we wave the palm frond, the lulav, the esrog, and the hadassim and aravas that are connected to the lulav. But that's not all. You see, during the entire holiday of Sukkot, we go around in circles. On the first day of Sukkot, we take our lulav, our esrog, hadassim, our aravos, and after holding all that, somehow managing to balance all that, also a siddur or a machzer. And at a certain point in the prayers, the entire congregation goes around and makes a circle around the bima, the lectern in the center of the Beis HaKnesses. The Torah scrolls are taken out, and there are people that are honored with holding the Torah scrolls by the lectern, by the bima, and we go around in a circle one time. We make one circle. And the second day, a second circle, until the seventh day. The seventh day is known as Hoshana Rabbah. And Hoshana Rabbah, we make not just one circle around the bima, but we make 7 circles around the bima. 7 circles. We go around in circles. The 8th day of Sukkot, or for some of you, the 9th day of Sukkot, depending on where you live, Simchas Torah, we also go around the bima 7 times. In fact, most of us go around the bima much more than 7 times. But the minimum is 7 times. To go around the bima, holding the Sefer Torah, around the bima, on the 8th day of Sukkot, it's called Shmini Atzeres, and saying prayers each time you go around, each circuit, around and around again. On Simchas Torah, we read from the Torah portions, and we read from the last Torah portion in the Chamisha Chumshei Torah, in the 5 books of Moses, which is Parshas V'zos HaBrocha. We finish that parsha off, and then as soon as we finish that parsha off, we start with the first parsha, Bereishis Bara Elokim. So we end the old cycle and we begin the new cycle. That's also a circle. So we are constantly involved in going around and around and around during Sukkot. And that's what Sukkot is. Sukkot is about circles. In fact, the name Sukkot starts with the letter Samach, and the letter Samach is a circle. What does the word Sukkah actually mean? There are actually 2 meanings to the word Sukkah. One meaning is that the word Sukkah is related to the word Schach. Schach means a shade, shading, a covering. And that appropriately describes the covering over the sukkah because it provides shade. There's another meaning to the word sukkah. Our matriarch, Sarah, the wife of Avram, had another name. She was a very beautiful woman. She was very attractive, and her name was Yiska. Yud, Samach, Chaf, Hey. Yiska. Because the word Yiska means to gaze at. People were gazing at her beauty. She passed by, and people gazed at her beauty, her inner beauty, her external beauty. She was a beautiful person. Yiska. So her name was one who is worthy of gazing at. So Sukkah means to gaze at. It means to look. What does the holiday of Sukkot have to do with circles and gazing. These are two central themes of the holiday, and what do they have in common? Let me tell you a story. My Uncle Shai was on an airplane, and he was sitting next to a rabbi named Rabbi Yehuda Silver. Rabbi Yehuda Silver is a luminary. He spreads Torah throughout the world. He was the originator of Project Seed in England. And Rabbi Yehuda Silver told my Uncle Shai the following story. So this is not first-hand, but it is second-hand. Rabbi Silver was on a plane, and he was sitting next to an obviously non-religious Jewish person, a non-observant Jew. They bring out the meals and these nicely wrapped packages with all the layers of foil and wrappings. It's just like, you need to take an online course or in order to figure out how to unwrap those things and get everything out of it, the packages within the packages, within the packages, within the packages. And Rabbi Silver, he's enjoying his kosher dinner. His companion had no compunctions about eating a regular non-kosher dinner. And he's enjoying his non-kosher dinner. You have Rabbi Silver, who is an activist. He's someone who's a professional. He does this. He cares. He cares about all Jews, whether he knows them or not. And then you have his traveling companion eating the non-kosher dinner. So he turns to him and he says, "Excuse me for butting in, and it's really none of my business, but on this airline, they offer kosher meals. They give you a kosher choice. And if it's available, so then why didn't you ask them to bring you one? I'm sure they have extras." And the man replied, he said, "I went through the war, and I survived the war, but my entire family did not, and they were all murdered. And I had a young child. His name was Beryl, and Beryl was all that I had left. And the Nazi murderers, they grabbed Beryl and they tore him from my arms. I was begging and screaming. They tore him from my arms, and I never saw him again. A God that let the Nazi murderers rip my Beryl from my arms, I don't go out of the way for him. He didn't go out of the way for me. I don't go out of my way for him. And I'm going to order the regular meal, and I'm not going to do anything special for him." Okay, Rabbi Silver heard, you have to display sensitivity. Someone that went through that. There's not much to say. But they were on the plane for 11 hours and they had an excellent time. Rabbi Silver is a charismatic individual. He's fascinating. And they spoke for 11 hours straight. And by the end of that flight, they were the best of friends. They parted ways and thought that they would never see each other. 2 years later, Rabbi Silver was davening on Yom Kippur in the old city of Yerushalayim. And there's a time in between the prayers. In this particular shul, it was between the Shacharis prayers and the Musar prayers. People go out, they make an appeal. If somebody wants to go out and get some fresh air, they need to rejuvenate themselves on a holy day. So Rabbi Silver walked out for a few moments, and he sees his friend from the plane. The guy was walking around. He was a tourist. He was touring Israel. He was in Yerushalayim. He had some kind of colorful shirt on. He had the obligatory camera around his neck. That was the days when people used to wear cameras around their necks. And he says, "Hey, do you remember me?" And he says, "Yes, of course I remember you. How could I forget? It was fascinating. If you talk to someone for 11 hours, you don't forget them." He says, "Great, what's up?" And he says, "Yom Kippur." He said, "You know what? It's Yom Kippur. Why don't you come inside and say a prayer? It's a holy day. Everyone does it." And Beryl's father said, "If you remember me, you remember I don't go out of my way for God. He didn't go out of the way for me. I'm not going out of the way for God. I'm not walking in there. I don't have anything to do with him. He doesn't have anything to do with me. We'll keep the peace." And Rabbi Silver gave it one last shot. He said, when we go in, the first thing the congregation is going to do is not praying. We're going to say Yisker. Yisker is not praying. You're not praying to God for yourself. There are prayers being offered for the dear and departed ones. Don't go out of your way to pray. But your dear son was ripped away from you. You believe in God. You have a grudge against him. That means he exists. Go in there. Let them say a prayer for your son. Go in there. Just stand next to him. You don't have to do anything. And Beryl's father said, you know what, you're right. Struck a chord. They went in. They said the prayer. He went to the lectern, to the beam in the middle. Go in there. And he said, you know what? You're right. The chazan, in his baritone voice, he starts invoking the name of the names of the dear departed ones. And finally, Beryl's father whispers in his ears the name of the one that he wants to pray for. And he said, the name of my son is Beryl ben Meir Tzvi. The chazan froze. He said, he couldn't get the words out. Beryl ben Meir Tzvi. The chazan was a younger man. The chazan said, Beryl ben Meir Tzvi. Beryl ben Meir Tzvi, that's my name. The Nazis tore Beryl away from his father. And he never saw him again. And he thought he died. But he didn't die. He got out. He got to Eretz Yisrael. The father also got out. He got out to America. They didn't know of each other. Beryl thought his father died. The father thought Beryl died. And they were reunited. Things came full circle. Meir Tzvi, Beryl's father, couldn't see, he couldn't understand until things came full circle. They had to go away from each other. That's what a circle is. You go away from each other. Further and further and further. And you think you're going away, you're never going to see each other again. And then you keep following the path and you come and you meet up. And when you meet up, you know what happens? First of all, you meet up. Second of all, you understand, you see everything in your life led to this. The journeys that you both took and the different directions in the circle all contributed to coming back together. Sukkot is the holiday that represents coming back home. The holiday of Pesach, we went out of bondage. We're not home yet. Shavuos, we stand at the foot of our Sinai, we accept the Torah. That's a relationship with God. It's all part of the journey. It's all part of the circle. We were thrown out of Eretz Yisrael. We went into slavery. We come out of slavery. We accept the Torah. We wander through the desert, and then we come back home. And because of our sins, we were thrown out of Eretz Yisrael again. Our Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. The second one was destroyed. We were thrown out. We get further and further away. And in the end, we come back home. We come back full circle. Sukkot is leaving our homes, our security, and going out of our homes, going into a structure that's out of this world. There's a thatched roof on top. We're going into God's world. We're finally coming home. And Sukkot represents coming full circle. It represents Beryl meeting Meir Tzvi. And Sukkot is the time when we come back into God's domain. And the word sukkah means yiska, that we could see the beauty of coming full circle. May we all be zeicha to come home and to understand all the journeys that we had to go through. A guten Yom Tov.